And after all this time, ladies and gentlemen, we finally find out the true reason behind Natsu's scarf and exactly how it was made in the first place. Alongside adding some more history between Natsu and all these people that he knows, and Anna Heartfilia actually having a very close relationship to Natsu and his past in general. Plus the conclusion between the Sting versus Lakade fight. We're now about to get into this chapter right now, Fairy Tale. Definitely the first thing we should really talk about is what the main focus of this entire chapter was, hence being the title of it, being the Sting versus Lakade finale of this fight. And we saw Sting going in straight in immediately, like channeling the power, and he's just like, I've been like chasing behind Natsu's shadow as long as I remember, and now you're in the way, bastard. And it's like, and with this and all that, I will like purify, like, you know, I'll get rid of all this stuff. And then he, like, when we saw Lakade, he's just like, I'm gonna just get rid of you, you're just nothing but scum to me. And it's just like, I'm like activating the RIP power, which was the eternal sleep. And even with him addressing, saying, this is the one thing that I can perhaps use on Acnologia, where it's like, I can make him sleep. But even as well, like when we saw like what exactly, like we saw what Sting was doing just to try and even wake up for this, and it was like he was punching his own gut, like beating his ribs, and he's just like, damn it, wake up, wake up. And I was like, this is how much he's doing just trying to even stay awake so this guy doesn't get away with this. And clearly with Lakade, it's like, you know, humans cannot defy their own like natures, their own desires, not even Acnologia, and consequently I'm the ultimate maid who can see victory against Acnologia himself. Well, so that's all right and dandy. I think the biggest problem is like you can make him go asleep, and you can actually like distract him, make him not move, but that isn't exactly killing him. However though, like Sting did manage to find a way out of this by Rogue telling him you need to go inside the shadows. In the shadows all your senses are sharpened, and should you dispel your drowsiness, if only for a moment. I kind of like the fact that it was kind of addressing like Sting, like how the hell am I even going to do this in the first place? And it's like, you got to feel the gravity to the point you can feel your feet and the ground becoming one. It's just like, I don't understand how this works though, like Rogue, you gotta like, there's not enough time to understand this. And Kagura just comes in and just saying, I will sink you into the ground by force if need but must. And I kind of like that it was actually a combination of them using their techniques where it's just like, I'm gonna use my sword and the last ounce of my power just to like use gravity just to slam you into the ground. And it's just like, that was one thing that he was able to do. And so I remember seeing in the spoilers, I thought he was actually falling into RIP at all. Like that was the technique he was going in. It's just like, he ain't kidding. I could all my like senses sharpened to their limits going for it. And he immediately pulls out of the ground, and it's just like, I'm gonna make you ascend to the free heavens. And he's like, no, I'm gonna use this like combined technique like of me, Rogue, and Kagura together, using it together, using the white shadow dragon's rough silk, which he grabs both darkness and light in both of his hands, like scratching the very like sky itself, and firing off all of these blasts like from his like concentrated his fingers all into Lakade, and actually being able to knock him down and like at least stall him for now. And I know exactly people are gonna say, well, what the fuck he's gonna be, and even I'm here where it's like, well, actually I thought it was supposed to be like someone like, you know, what we've had for longest was Mavis was supposed to be the one to finally put an end to him. However, I did notice there was a slightly big difference between like Lakade being defeated by Sting and every other Spriggan we've seen. Every other time we see one of these characters defeated in Fairy Tail, they've normally had their eyes whitened and like, like they're unconscious. And I think like he's still able to move. He's still conscious of his surroundings, and he's still calling out to his father. He's like, you know, father, like, you know, after everything. And I generally think like he is gonna try and get up once more. I think he is gonna do a like desperation move, and I think that's when like Mavis is still gonna pick, because I just don't think like if anything, Hero would have just brought up the whole thing about him being related to like, you know, Mavis at all, and like her having nothing to do with the, like this character whatsoever. Maybe like Natsu maybe is a little bit different because like he's in his own little imagination world right now, like where he's just like he's on the bridge of dying. But even you could say like you could see Zeref there like looking as he was in the like the guild together, and like there was just like remorse and sadness in his face. Like I was wondering, like clearly he must know that like one of his sons is down, and like what, you know, what, how does he exactly feel about that like altogether? And I think like if anything, it's like he probably cares more about Natsu than he ever did with like Lakade, what like at all. And then it was the most interesting part of the chapter, like to me personally, was when we found out more about Natsu and found out about Anna, who Anna was Heartfilia was the one that actually made the scarf for Natsu. It is made out of igneous scales, and it was like, well, why has it got a white appearance and not red? And it's actually because when dragon scales are separated from the body of the dragon, their pigments become faint, and that's why it's become white after all this time. And it's like, yeah, that's not really important, but it's like, you know, this woman, like, you know, apparently and all that, she like actually cared for you. And it's just like, even when we saw the, like, what Zeref was saying, and saying, like, my friend and all that, saying, you know, that woman is so kind-hearted, and she had a special gift of, like, taking care of others. And it's just like, no, just look at her. I think that's definitely what he's kind of going for. And it's like, if anything, it's like the resemblance between her and, like, you know, Lucy is like absolutely astounding, and kind of like with their personalities. And I find that interesting that this was the one thing, like, she wanted, like, I think generally what was happening is like, E.N.D knew the time was coming to sort of leave them or something, and I think like he wanted to give them a gift and he couldn't do it out of his own hands. So Anna, like, kind of being really nice, actually did this. Or I think, if anything, what this is saying as well is that this is maybe not the last time we see Anna. Like, I think she's still going to be in the story some way. I think, if anything, she has something to, like, maybe relatable to the one magic or anything. I think, like, she is a very powerful, like, mage. We do know that, but if anything, for the fact she clearly knows something, and I feel like this is something that, you know, we're never going to know, because we don't know if that spirit has lived on throughout the entirety of this time. These spirits, like, may survive, like, actually being, like, an embodiment on the temple. Like, who knows, maybe she, like, actually left a spirit somewhere. Like, maybe that is somewhere, like, you know, Zeref actually knows the location of. Or maybe that was just such a long time ago that her spirit in this world is just completely gone. But, like, if anything, this is the last memento that she pretty much has. And this, like, I kind of like this as a kind of farewell, like, kind of wish. Like, this scarf is mainly for, like, from Anna, and the same thing is also from E.N.D. This always was a memento to Natsu, and it's like, I found it interesting that something as, like, the scarf was just, like, it was a nice little thing to finally get addressed by, and why exactly, like, it's, like, it was white in the first place, and not, like, E.N.D.'s, like, black scales at all, and I like that was a little addition to it. Also made sense, like, actually hundreds and hundreds of chapters ago on, like, the Tenrojima, why it actually, like, started turning black in the first place, because it was becoming tainted and cursed, and that's probably what happened, kind of like a disease, like, spreading it, because it's still made out of, like, flesh and skin at the end of the day. Although the ending of this chapter is a little bit weird, like, in the sense of, like, what is happening with Natsu, as is, like, his body temperature is going down, and it's just, like, out of everything, it was, like, what we saw with the medic, like, Polysnucia, like, she was like, oh, by the way, Lucy, hurry up and strip, and she's like, wait, what the fuck? It's like, it's our last resort. All we can do is attempt to raise his body temperature. We can, like, only pray there's, that another warmth and feelings will bring about a miracle. We need something, and just, although she's shy and she's blushing as hell, she's just like, okay, like, I'm willing to do that. And I've seen this in, like, maybe 1 or 2 shows before. I remember this, if anything, from the Fatal Fury movie, and I remember that being weird as hell as well. But so it's like, we're going to have some sort of moment between Natsu and Lucy, I feel like, definitely in the next chapter, and hence why the next one's going to be called, like, Flower, or, like, Flower Circle, and I believe that it's, like, maybe that has something to do with, like, maybe their relationship flowering up, or the love. I think this might be finally, like, Lucy might be able to finally admit that she actually has like, feelings for Natsu, and maybe she's, like, now going to stop being in denial for it. Like, I don't know, I got kind of upset when he heard, like, Happy just crying. It's just like, you know, like, even though you hear, like, him whispering, saying, Zeref, I will defeat you, and it was just like, Natsu, you don't have to think about that anymore, please, just let it go already. If you kill Zeref, then you'll die too, and it's just like, I don't want that happening to you, and it's just like, what do you mean, and it's like, what do you mean by that? It's like, just please save Natsu, I'm begging you, I can't take this anymore. And, like, finally now as well, they all understand, and Gray hears this as well. It's like, if Zeref is defeated, then Natsu will die, and it's just like, that's what exactly is going to happen now that Gray understands this, is like, this is what he's going to do, is he's going to finally, like, end, like, Zeref, because clearly he still has a huge goal and agenda, and I think he still wants to go for it, but it's like, I'm going to have to sacrifice my friend at the end of this. Overall, like, I still think the Sting and Lakati fight is still a good fight. I think it's way better than some of the spring ones that we've had. But I feel like, as well, it's a little bit weird that he finally finished him. If anything, I kind of would have preferred if, like, he did, like, damage him a lot, and he was like, you little brat, now this is the end of you. And I would have kind of liked if the chapter ended with, like, May disappearing, finally, like, dealing with it. But we'll have to wait and see, honestly, until next chapter. I generally don't think, like, this is the end we've seen with Lakati. I think there's still more than, since he's still conscious, he's still on the battlefield. I still think, I don't know if the fight's going to continue, per se, but I do think, like, at this point he is going to try and get back up, or maybe this is going to approach him, and actually that's probably going to be, like, the conclusion to, like, whole of Lakati's thing in this arc. I still enjoyed the chapter, and anything, I would say the best part of this chapter, like what we said last time, is actually finding about the past and everything. Like, everything I found about, like, Anna Heartfilia, about the scarf, like, the true, like, that was one thing. Like, I never expected the scarf to ever be really brought up at all, ever relevant, really, in a chapter. And then it's also, as well, at the end of the chapter, it's saying that the whole thing is, like, is Gray gonna have to make up that sacrifice of like killing like Zereth, so and he'll kill one of his best friends as well. And the same thing with like Lucy as well. With Lucy, even though it's like weird the whole like stripping thing down and warming you up, like Jeremy, I think that's like something that's like she might actually finally realize her feelings towards Natsu, and I'm kind of looking forward to like what this next chapter of Fairy Tail is going to be bringing. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What did you think about this chapter? What did you think about finding about like all this time about his scarf and everything? And also as well, what did you think of the Stain and Lucade fight finale? That's all from me, everyone. Thank you much for watching as always, and I'll see you beautiful bastards though next time.